Hey guys, this is Aya for Transeve. So as far as I know, I don't think there is even a topic for this week, not one that I've seen anyway. But as you may have noticed, I didn't cover last week's topic because I was busy at work as usual. But I figure it's a really important topic, so I'm going to cover it now. It's about being trans and depression. So this is a good topic because, well, you know, a lot of us are depressed. A lot of us go through a depressed stage. And the biggest part of it is that, well, probably the biggest thing that we're all depressed about is that, well, obviously, well, if you're a trans woman other than a trans man, say, for example, you want nothing more than to grow up and be this beautiful woman, but yet you're stuck in the body of a male. And that, of course, is right there is just, I suppose it's depression because you don't think you're ever going to get what you want. Also, depression can come from areas such as, well, the world we live in, because the world we live in for trans people could be much better. As I'm sure you know from other topics we've discussed and so on and so on. And just being a trans person, you know how the world is. But, you know, in my opinion, people who have gone through depression are always the best people. They're the most realistic people, I suppose, is a good way to put it. Yeah, I don't know. So, not saying it's necessarily a good thing to go through depression, but it can be helpful. And of course, you do get through it. Well, one thing I constantly say is that time heals all wounds, and it's true that it does. And it's true that it does because, well, I went through that kind of depressive stage where I didn't think I would ever get what I wanted more than anything was to grow up and be a beautiful woman. But, you know, as I go through my transition, I see myself getting closer and closer to my goal. So I'm not really depressed anymore. And sure, I get sad from time to time about various things. I wouldn't necessarily call it depression. I would say I have anxiety issues. So my anxiety issues these days are not about, like, I don't think I look like a man wearing girls' clothes per se. I don't think I look manly. I just think that I am not, from time to time it crosses my mind that I am not necessarily an attractive female. And that is what sometimes gets me down. But then, you know, you just gotta remember that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. There are a lot of slutty little bitches who look like Barbie dolls. And there are a lot of guys who find that attractive, and there are a lot of guys who don't. I personally always thought that they looked ridiculous, but to each their own, you know? And that is usually, I don't know, how I get through these things, but, again, as I said, it's not necessarily good to go through depression, but it can be helpful. And then you can have your own life experiences to maybe help other people through their own issues. So I think that's probably why I'm such a good person for giving advice. A lot of people come to me for advice, not even necessarily just about LGBT issues, but just about life in general. I'm usually a very good listener and a good person to talk to. So, and that's because I've fought a lot of my own battles. Yeah, but I don't know. As a whole, depression and transness kind of go hand in hand because, I mean, I know in my own case, I went through a little stage of depression before I started my transition, and then though not as bad, I went through a little stage of depression when I was starting my HRT, which I attribute that to my hormones, because my hormonal balances were equaling out, I guess. I don't know. And nowadays, for the most part, I'm a pretty happy person. So again, time heals all wounds. And that isn't even necessarily advice for a trans person. It's just advice for anyone having any issue with anything. Your boyfriend broke up with you? Sure, you care now, but in 2 months, are you gonna give a fuck? No. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of harsh, but it's true. Maybe a little more than 2 months, but you know what I mean. You get the idea. So I guess my point is, we may go through depression, but we shouldn't what do I want to say? It shouldn't be what our lives revolve around. We should still be able to go out and do things, and you know, you can't be one of those people who, when you're depressed, just lie in bed and don't want to see the world or anything. And you know, obviously some people are so depressed to the point where they decide to commit suicide, and of course that is one of the hugest mistakes a person can make. I mean, there's never a situation where suicide is a good idea, because you know, there are all these 16-year-old kids who have killed themselves for whatever reason, you know, teen angst. But had they just kind of suffered through it, gotten past it, they would have grown up, and who knows, maybe one of those 16-year-old kids who killed themselves for whatever reason could have been the next, I don't know, great movie star or something. Not that we need more movie stars, we need more scientists and stuff, we need more real people. But you never know, right? I don't know. So obviously, don't ever even think about that, don't consider that. I said in a video that I did the other day that I have thought about death, but I have never really considered suicide when I went through my little depressive stages. And what I mean by that is, I would wonder if anyone around me would care if some kidnapper were to kidnap me and kill me, or if I were just to run away and never come back or anything like that. I used to wonder if anyone would actually even care. That's what I meant by I would think about death. And even that's not a good way to think, because that just gets you down. And then of course you're gonna say no one would care, but then the reality is there are people who would care. I know my family would be devastated, for one, and out of the other people in my life, there probably aren't many people who would care, but the important people, of course, would care, and they would also be devastated. So you know, there are people out there who care about you. Everyone has people who cares about them. Everybody. So don't even think about that. Okay, yeah. I guess that covers the topic. Just, you kind of gotta suffer through it and get past it, and time heals all wounds again. And you know, I as I was saying earlier, we all get kind of depressed about, oh, are we ever gonna get to grow up to be these beautiful women? Well, look at me now, 2 years into my HRT. I'm just kidding. Yeah, just what were those videos about this kind of stuff? It gets better or something? I think that's what they were. That were popular, like, last year. Well, I don't know. I guess it does. Yeah, it does. That's not even I guess. It does. Yeah, okay. So this is Zara for Trans Youth. Comment, subscribe. If you guys have any questions you want to ask us, you know the drill, transyouthchannel@gmail.com. Yeah.